Shir sponsor Lui Nishmas Am Yaakov Shalom Navas Yitzchok. Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're learning Metzia Daf test today. We're going to be starting from the last two lines in Daf Chesamon base. Now, we're in the middle of Sugya. The Gemara discussed what is the idea, who is greater, a Rochuv or a Manig? A Rochuv Manig, which one is a greater one? Which one is a greater kinyan? Something more now towards the end of the Amud. Toshma shnayim shehu moishchim begomel umanigim bechamor. Two people are moishech a gomel. Meshicha means that you're pulling the gomel. Manhigi means you're walking it. You're walking the animal. Or one is moishech, one is manik. Either one of them, everyone understands right now. Without tesam udalef. In this way, they're koine. What is it coming to exclude? The Gemara is going to explain in a moment. Rabbi Yehuda you're not koine. The only way to koine is you have to do the regular way. A gamal, a camel, you pull. A donkey, you walk. You have to do it the way there is the normal way of doing it.
Natural way.
Yeah. If not, it's not considered to be a kinyan. As we'll see later in the Amud some reasons why some kinyanim don't work. K'tanim Yaz, it says, it says one was Moishech and one was Manig. Moishech u'Manig in a rochav loy. We didn't mention here about a rochav. We're not talking about someone riding the animal. We're talking about someone pulling the animal or walking the animal. We never mentioned here rochav. So you see the Chur, the Yeshiva doesn't koine. Answers the Gemara, who adin that for the rochav? Rochav also works. The Hadik Moishech u'Manig la fulk v'dav yudo ma'at shetem mishicha begomol ve'anoga bechamor. The reason I said Moishech u'Manig specifically, I don't want to speak about rochav. I want to speak about Moishech u'Manig. And I want to tell you that the reason why Meshicha and Anoga works is because according to excluded Yehuda that said that you could do only Meshicha by Gomel and Anoga by Chamor, we could say you could do other ways as well. So it works also the opposite. So well, that can't be. If you want to tell me all works for all, just mix them all up. Why are you telling me, there was two people that were Moshe Gomel and they were Mani B'Chamor? If you want to tell me that all of them work, just say they were doing either or. Why is the Gemara saying that way? Says the Gemara, there is one side that's not kohen. What does it mean? Meaning, Rabbanan agree with Rav Yehuda that either Meshicha by Chamor or a Manig by Gamal doesn't work. We just don't know which one. We mean we have two Purushim. Ikadam Meshicha by Chamor doesn't work. Ikadam by Gamal. In other words, Rabbanan came and gave me a rule. You do Meshicha by Gamal, you do a Meshicha by a Gamal. You do a Manig by Chamor. And what Rabbanan come to argue Rabbi Yehuda is, don't tell me it has to be specifically this and you can't change it around. You could change it around somewhat. You could change it around somewhat. What can you do? You could do one of the things by one. I don't know which one. Two Yikadaimas. Either you could do, even though usually you could do Manik B'Gomel, but Chamor you can't do Meshicha, or opposite. Meaning Rabbanan, from that four options that we have, Rabbi says only two options work, and Rabbanan say three options work, not four. So I have the question from the end of the brisa that we just mentioned. It says over there that's who is koine. What does it come to exclude? Is it coming to exclude someone who's riding the animal? Says the Gemara, because in midazu, that's exactly what the words are. It's not just a diuk. It says midazu. Tell you, you can't do the opposite. So that's exactly what Yehuda said. You can't do the opposite. Meshicha by a chamor and a manik by a gom. Says the Gemara, yeah, and there is one case that doesn't work. Charlie, when it doesn't work, well, it depends. Ikadam, as more says, Ikadam, Meshicha b'chamor, Ikadam, Anoga b'gabol. One of them does not work, and that's what we call the exclude, and that's what means the zois to exclude that specific one. One is riding the donkey, and one is holding on to the museiro. What's the museiro? Museiro is the rope.
What?
The rope. The bridle. Bridle, you know, when you're holding on to the animal. One is holding on to the donkey is cutting the donkey, and the one who's holding on to the bridle is cutting the bridle. Shvami no rochuv koni. You see that you cut it by riding the animal. Says the Gemara, similar to what we said yesterday's daf. It's not just that he's riding; he's actually making the animal walk. Yachi nikri nami rochuv b'museu. So the rochuv should be koine b'museu. If he's making him walk, you should be koine the museu as well. You should koine the bridle as well. The bridle is connected to the animal. You're koine the animal, you're koine the bridle as well. It's Rashi says, what's the reason? Because we're going to see a little bit more of it in Omud Base. Rashi says, why is the bridle koine with it? Nikdam rochuv b'museu shebiroish chamor shu tachshit achamor ukechamor domi. It is part of the donkey because it's the jewelry of the donkey. So it goes with the donkey. Says the Gemara, no, you're right. The rochuv is koine the donkey. It's koine also half the bridle. Because the bridle is part of the animal. And the other one is koine all the half the bridle. So Bishul rochuv koine the kamag b'levidas. Bishul rochuv, he is holding on to the donkey and the first part of the bridle. The other part of the bridle is being held by a human being. So you have your agba. Elotofos b'museiro b'maikoni. The one who holds the museiro is holding the bridle. How is he crying? He's only holding half. The other half is on the animal. Says the one, you're right. He is koine the chamor in all their bridle. And he's the other one is koine mashiach. The other one's going what we said before. The only way to be koine two people together is only as one is doing on behalf of the other. You don't do one on behalf of the other, we'll get back to that in tomorrow's daf. But if you don't have someone doing behalf of the other, you koine only have the talis. So here he's koine only the half. So only mashiach is koine. So more amai. Usually when I say that you have two people and you're able to koine one for another, that's only if one is picking up the Metzia to be makir to his friend. Here he's makir to himself. How is he helping the other one to be koine? In other words, what I'm talking about now is how is the owner of the donkey koine? Right? So the one who's holding on to the donkey, you want to say the bridle connects to it, but the bridle is not being held. Someone is holding it. The one who's holding it is not koine. He's only koine mashiach, and he doesn't have doubts to be koine ta'achir. Says the Gemara, and he himself is not koine except mashiach. Omavashi ze koine chamor beis pageya, veze koine mashiach biyodoi, v'ashar lo koine lo yizev lo yizev. So you're right. One is koine a donkey, and whatever around the face is considered to be part of the animal is the tachshir of the animal, as I said before. The other one is koine whatever's in his hand. Whatever's in between, nobody's koine as if it's on the floor. Because you don't have your agba. Really, like we said before, which means that he's koine the chamor and he's koine the museu. If he's koine the chamor and he's koine the museu. Why are you saying the guy who's pulling the chamor, he's the one who's koine the bridle? The answer is, he can pull it himself. He can push the bridle to his own hands. Says what Ravo says is wrong. Why? If not what? You have a beged which is on the land, and half of it is standing on a pole. One is picking up from the Gagabi Karko. Someone else picking up the one part in the Amud. So meaning what? What is the Gemara trying to derive based on what we said right now? You want to tell me that in the case of the donkey, what does Ravo say? Ravo says that the reason why the guy is koine, in the case of the donkey, the guy is pulling the string, is because when he's holding on to that string, he's holding on to it. The other side is on the donkey. So there's nobody else on the other side. And he's able to pull it. Now, the Gemara understands, this is what the Gemara says right away in the Avon, as Rishonim point out. The other side, if it would be on the floor, you're not koine. It needs to be somewhat in the air to be considered to be agba. But if it's in the air being held by a donkey, I just able to pull it. It's considered to be in the air. As Tais points out, because really when you're pulling it, it's going to be in the air. If it's on the floor, it may stay on the floor the whole time. Here, it's already on the air. It's just being held by the donkey. I can pull it, it's going to be flying in the air to be agba. But says the Gemara, so we'll say according to this, if a person there's a clothing which is on a pole, which is a rabbit. So in the same case, if I pull it, it's going to be koine. And the Gemara says, "Kedova pasha that doesn't koine." The fact that you can pull it to you, we know we never. Why not? So Shem say because our Mishnah said you have two people that picked the Metzia, they're both koine. You understand? It doesn't matter if they happen v'asachas, they happen after each other. It doesn't say that there's a difference if it's on a pole or it's on the floor. It just says it works. So one understands it works on a pole, it works with two people, it works the whole time. Why does it work? The fact that you can bring it to you and it's in the air does not work. That's why the Gemara says, Ravo says is berusa. It's wrong. Says the Gemara, okay. Toshma, another right. So right now the Gemara brought this one wanted to bring a raya regarding rochav. Trying to understand is a rochav koine or not koine. And the Gemara says over here we're talking about the rochav is making the animal walk. And that's why it's different. If so, why is it not koine the Merseiro? The Gemara brought different answers regarding the Merseiro. Someone who's riding the animal in the field, someone who's leading the animal in the city, right? And that's what we'll see in a moment. That's the normal way. You ride an animal in the field, you lead the animal in the city. So here we're talking about the body's rochav, he's making the animal walk. So that's manik, as we said in yesterday's daf. Trey gavni manik, it's two gavni manik. So if so, why rochav in the city? He's not koine, he makes it walk. It's not normal for people to ride in the city. And if it's not normal for them, if one understands, kinyan doesn't work if you're not doing something which is the normal way of kinyan. Now, right, so therefore it's not derech kinyan. So you're not koine either way. Says the Gemara, Rav Asher of Kahano. So Rav Asher has a Kahano. A person picks up a walled in Shabbos. It's not normal for people to pick up a walled in Shabbos. You want to tell me he's not koine? What is it? The person goes and picks up a walled in Shabbos, picks up on the street. Is he koine on Shabbos? Yes, we had Gemara's for Russians regarding a grain of gneva. Is it chayav misa, not chayav misa? Of course, there's no question koine. So if you're koine, why are you koine? It's not normal for people to pick up a wall in the street. It's usher. And I'll already say, even though it's not normal, if I do it, I do it. So I'll say if I do it, I do it. And here, this is part of the Shulman Show tonight. We have a question of the Metzia. Metzia asks, why are you so pushing if you pick up a Heineke b'Shabbos you're koine? We know that there's a Gemara in Tumur that tells us. Kol mil said, anything the Torah said not to do. It's going to war. It's going to war. If the Torah says not to do something and you do it anyway, does it work or does not work? Ask the Metzia is, according to Rav, the Kol mil said, anything the Torah told you not to do. If you did, it doesn't work. So here, why should it be koine? The Torah says not to pick up on Shabbos. It's a derisa, the abundant, doesn't matter, you're not allowed to. You're picking it up, you're not going to be koine. Why so pushing koine? That's a question by Metzia. So a few answers that we have here in the first shooting, Metzia himself answers, the picking up is not a problem. You can pick up on the weekdays. The only problem is the time. When I say Kol Mil Sodom Achman Lo Yisavid Yovid Lo Mi'ani is only if the mice is a problem. If the mice is okay, it's only a time problem, then I don't say it. That's what Metzia says. That's a Shach says the same thing. We'll just skip in Shubach we brought another answer. There's a question, a third answer is the answer of the behavior and then the Yudo. It's only when it's a Yisur Prati. The Torah says, don't do X. If you do X, so it doesn't work. But when the Torah doesn't say something specific, it's just a general Yisur, like a Shabbos. It doesn't say anything specific. Why is that so? So the Torah says not to build a house at Shabbos, right? You're not allowed to build a house. If a person builds a house, is the house built? Yeah. You can't say Lo Me'ani because it's reality. The house is there. But you want to say, okay, so regarding the house will be built. But regarding Kinyan, the Kinyan won't be built. That you don't do. If it would be a specific Israel Kinyan, say the Kinyan doesn't work. But now that it's something generic that has in it reality things and Chalois things, you say they all go on the same thing. Says the Gemara. So the Gemara doesn't like. The Gemara says it's the Pashatur that when you pick up a Metzia and Shabbos, you're crazy. So says the Gemara, why is not derech? It's not derech. So why, when you're riding an animal in the city, you're not crazy? So we're not talking about a Metzia. Talk about a Mekach. Someone is selling something to somebody else. He says, or he means to say, when you do your Kinyan will work when you do a normal Kinyan. If you do something that normal people do. If people don't do it, you don't do it. Says the Gemara in Daf Tesamud Beis. If it's a Shusarabim Kohen, that's the Girsa. As the Vilna Goy points out right away, that the Rosh takes out the words, and really this is part of the next sentence. Meaning, the Torah said, the Gemara says, if it's a Shusarabim, you're Kohen. The Rosh says no. We're talking in the city, not Kohen even if Shusarabim. But it refers to the next sentence. The Adam Chashavu Kohen. An important person doesn't walk his animal. He rides his animal. So a woman doesn't walk her animal, she rides the animal. If it's a very low class person, also Kohen, because he also doesn't walk the animal. Chashav people don't walk the animal, and simple people don't walk the animal, only middle class people. Person says, I want you to pull the animal, and I want it to be koine, the kelim oleh. This has to do a little bit with what we said before regarding the bridle. Says the Gemara, did he tell him to be koine? Sorry, the way you read it is liknois mi omer lekoni, right? In other words, as Rashi says, liknois mashma kait kavel liknois ani eini makrel. It means it means you're going to buy it, but I'm not giving it to you. No, that can't be. And the Mashiach be'emazu v'kni not liknois. Take the be'emo and you will be acquired with that the kelim. Now, mi me'adim mishira the be'emo l'aknu kelim. Is Moshe the be'emo work to buy the kelim? Or maybe not. Amar Rava yomer lekni be'emo v'kni kelim mikoni kelim. Says, what do you mean? You want to use the Mashiach of the be'emo to be cutting the kelim? You're asking, the Mashiach work for be'emo, does it work for the kelim as well? Right, so mashma, the what we're talking about, as Rashi says, we're talking about here, there's moicher, the case of the Gemara, is a person is selling the kelim. The shaila is, if I'm going to pull the be'emo, it would be cutting the kelim. Doesn't work. Mashma, if you would be cutting the be'emo and the kelim, you would be cutting. That's just to clarify this. The first case of the Gemara is moicher the be'emo to be cutting the kelim. Now the Gemara is asking, what happens if you shift the be'emo and the kelim? You want to be cutting both. So the Gemara, he says, I want you to take the animal and the kelim. Me koni kelim, is he koine it? You're not koine kelim, because how are you going to be koine kelim? Through the be'emo. The be'emo is a chotzer. Chotzer, it's a walking chotzer. Walking chotzer doesn't work. If he walks, he's not koine. Or if you're also standing or sitting, he's not koine. This is really what we said in Gita, we had it twice. Talking about here that it's tied up, can't move. So that's why we didn't chutz, will be koine. So the more you ask, if you koine the be'emo, if you should koine the kelim, because it's chutz, if it's not moving. But if you're not koine the be'emo, you're koine the kelim with the Mashiach, and that was the question of the Gemara. According to you, according to this Havamino, Hayam Alech Besfino was walking in a boat. The Kovtsu dog him no to the Sfino. and the fish jumped into the boat. You want to tell me the boat is moving, so you're not able to be koine with the boat. You understand the pashut that the boat does koine. This boat is not moving. The boat is standing still. The water is pulling it. So that's not considered to be a movement of the boat. She, the woman, the wife, is walking. So you threw a get into her hands or into her basket. Because she's walking. Similar answer. The basket is not moving. The basket is standing still. The Isha is moving. So that's how we were. Even though, as the first point out, we learned that the Gemara in Eruvin, we had a discussion. How do we look? Do we look that the water is moving? Or do we look that the kli is moving? And then more brought another subject. What happens if you have a kli, and in the kli you have something in the kli? How do we look at it? The Gemara has figures. Here the Gemara says, at least the Gabi Kinyonim, that I'm looking at the Tzara Chotzor Ma'aleches, and therefore it's considered to be a good kinyan. That's why it's different. So the more that's where it says, if it's tied up in a chanami, it maybe will be kinyan. Okay. Zog the Mishnah. Someone's riding an animal, and he sees a Metzia in the street. Give it to me. Not the friend picks it up. So Reuben is walking on his animal, and he sees a beautiful jewelry on the floor. Tells Shimon, pick it up for me. Shimon picks it up, looks at it, and says, you know what? It's mine. Zochabo. Yeah, he's Zoch. But if once he gave it to him, he says, Shimon gave it to Reuben, he said, no, but I planned to be credit before. So then, so, and this will go into Beis Hashem more in the Daf and Shabbos to get into the Inyanim over here. But let's just start the concepts of the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Tianos, Mishiliket esapeyo v'omar harezu leploinyon. So we're talking about a person who's not an oni, and he's not allowed to take pay. What's pay? Pay is one of the matas anim that the anim get. It's the corner of the field that you leave for the anim. So one person came and he was koine a payo. For who? For another ani. He's not deserving payo. He picked up the pay and says, I'm going to be koine to my good friend Beryl, who is an ani. Raul says he's like. The Chacham said no, it doesn't belong to. He has to give to the first ani it meets. Sorry. Machlokes is a rich person koine for an ani person, as we mentioned. Yeah, he can become an ani. He can be Zeich himself. How? If the Ashir is going to relinquish his right to his properties, he will become poor, he's able to get it. So he has a way to be going to pay. So now that he's cutting for himself as an oni, he can be cutting his friend as well. So you have here a double mikvah. Mikvah number one, he can become poor. Mikvah number two, once he's poor, he can be cutting for his friend. Rabbanan say no. We only say one migo, don't say two migos. So one migo you can say not two migos. Based on Shabbos, get more into it. Why we say one migo, not two migos? But you say only one migo, not two. But if it's a poor person himself picking up the payo, so he is zeichet to his friend. Why? The migo zeichet of shei zeichet am lechavei. Then it's only one migo. Migo is zeichet himself, is zeichet to his friend. So that's the Gemara says regarding an ani picking up his friend. Maybe by ani will also be a machlokes. Why are you saying by ani everybody agrees? What about our case of Metzia? Everybody's poor. What does it mean poor? What does a poor mean? He has a right ticket. Metzia, everybody has a right ticket. But now, the person is writing it out. He says Metzia. To no leave and no close. That's our Mishnah. Just give it to me. He says it for himself. Zoch. Right? So he says, if he says Zoch is Zoch. Now, so what does it mean? as Rashi says, what does he want to understand in this moment? Look at the last two narrow line in Rashi. That we thought. And he wrote, meaning, originally he picked it up for his friend. But then he changed his mind before he gave it to his friend. And his friend is not going. So you want to tell me that one ani cannot be zoiche pair for another ani? Continue that few done with Aleph. Mastisimani Rabbani. So our Mishnah goes like Rabbanan. Rabbanan say you can't be coining one into another ani. You can't be coining a Metzia to your friend because everybody has the right to it, and therefore he can be zoiche to himself. But if the machlekes is regarding rich and poor, but for poor man to poor man, he is zoiche. How many use it? You're saying that if one can be zeichet to himself, he can zeichet to others. So over here, the Mishnah says you pick it up. Shimon picks it up for Reuven, even though he picked it already for Reuven. Now he can change his mind, take it to himself. And that means Reuven is not zeichet. Why is Reuven not zeichet? If Shimon can take it to himself, he can take it for Reuven's on Reuven's behalf. Says that right. So again, just to explain once again, because the very important is the kudo in the Shakav Tav the Gemara. As Rashi points out, the Gemara understands that we talk about a case that Reuven told Shimon to pick it up. Shimon picked it up for what? For Reuven. This is for Reuven. He says, I actually like it. I want to keep it. So he's changing his mind after he gave it to Reuven. So if you hold that it already belongs to Reuven, he can't change his mind. Elamai is saying, when I picked it up for Reuven, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? It's like an oni to an oni. Says the Gemara, no, the Mishnah talk about that originally, from the beginning, he said, I'm not coining it for Reuven, I'm coining it for myself. That makes sense? Look at the next part of the Mishnah. If once he gave it to him, he says, I picked it up for myself, after when he gave it to him, even though he says from the beginning, right? So he says, I did it originally. In other words, he says, once he already gave it to Reuven, it's too late. Why are you saying the word tchila in the sefer? Tchila means I had it from the beginning, I want it for myself. Who cares? Right now you gave it to him, you can't take it away. That's what he means to say. Before, in other words, their tchila means Shimon picked up the chayfetz, gave it to Reuven. He tells Reuven, I actually want it for myself. When did you want it for yourself? Before I gave it to you. So that's what it means. It means before I give it to you. From here you learn. What does it come to teach you? Reisho do matchilo. V'idachtan seifa l'gilui reisho. Right? Seifa means reisho said chilo, and the seifa is sorry. I misread. Hakabash reisho do matchilo. Right? That's exactly the kiddush. To tell you that the reisho is talking about that he said also originally, not now. Already originally had that thought. The one who argues says. Tana seifa l'gilui reisho. Seifa do matchilo. Reisho do loy omar tchilo. No, you can't. Not what is it going to say? We want to bring a raya from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that if Reuven told Shimon to pick up a Metzia for me, Shimon picked up the Metzia, and Shimon says, I want to keep it to myself. So one understands what does it mean? We're talking about that Shimon originally gave it to Reuven, and then he changed his mind. So the Gemara, 1 second, you can't do that, it's too late. It already belongs to Reuven. You see it not created to Reuven. You see a Magbiyah Mitzvah Chaver, look at a Chaver. You see that Magbiyah Mitzvah that Ani can't be created to Ani. So no. Originally, Shimon said, I don't want to give it to Reuven. I want to give it to myself. Hi, so if it's originally that way, that's your original intent. So it says, so why does the and the more says, sorry, that was the original. That's what it never worked. So that's what do you because the sefer says tchilo. That was my original intent. The sefer. Why have to tell me the sefer? Of course, the sefer is original. After you give it to Reuven in his hand, of course, you can't change your mind. So this is more you see the sefer tells me we talk about he has original intent. Now, so the ratios of that. One you can say no. After the sefer says tchilo because that's what you have to say tchilo. But ratio in echanam if that tchilo there's no dig for a mishnah. So Gemara stays with the machlekes with two opinions. How to understand when someone is Magbiyah Mitzvah Chaver and he himself can be koinet, he himself has the ability to be koinet. Can he be koinet to his friend or not? And this will continue raise the shir to the daf of Shabbos because this goes into the sugya that we're really starting talking about daf ches. Magbiyah Mitzvah Chaver kol chaveroi and atevis the ba'achay b'kol shechav lachem. This big sugya is ikara here in daf yud. B'ser gomer, we'll stop over here. Be'ezer Hashem and. Hopefully you see everybody on Shabbos.